gratitude is contagious, and it's awesome when you watch it. You get a great group together. It's powerful.
It's so powerful. I mean, the gift that you can give. And we do this. So I do this winning the morning session in a real estate Discord that was started by actually agents long ago. And we always started by sharing gratitude. Welcome, everyone, to Life at 10 Tenths, where we inspire you to live at the pinnacle of your ability and purpose. I'm Matt Pinelli, as always, joined by the great Garrett Fry, and we are excited to be here with you guys. We have an awesome topic about energy today, which is a really core part and a really important thing to focus on in terms of how can you operate in your business each and every day. Before we dive into that, just want to remind you guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like, all that good stuff. And if you're listening on audio, we would so appreciate it if you'd leave us a review. And of course, if you find value out of this episode or any episodes, do share the show with other people, because that's how we grow. That's how podcasts grow. That's how we're able to continue to serve and do this amazing thing that we love and kind of continue to help you guys and all the people around you so we can get better together. Isn't that right? Well, Garrett, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir. I'm excited to talk about energy today. Energy is one of my favorite topics, and we were kind of kicking around like where we wanted to go with this, and it's fun because we actually had two topics that we were kind of looking at on our list, and we're like, well, let's bring them all together. Let's bring those two into the same space. Let's talk about it. So I think this will be fun, Matt. And let's just kick right into it. We're going to talk about gratitude today. And we're also going to talk about the external energy that we bring into our worlds and what we should be bringing in, what we should be careful of out there, and at least take control over it and not be at the mercy of what is going on. So I'm excited to jump into this, man.
Yeah, me too. And let's dive on in because, if you think about it, I was just thinking about the way we start these episodes, right? And whenever Garrett and I are getting ready to record, we have a lot of conversation. We talk some business, we talk some podcast stuff, and then we get hyped for our episodes. Now it happens pretty quick because we've been doing this for now, we're coming up on over 80 episodes in this podcast. So we're coming up on 700 lifetime episodes of us podcasting together. But right before we record, it's there's a little breath. I sometimes do a little dance, and it'll just bring that energy up so that we can show up for you guys in a great way. And it kind of correlates with what we're talking about, which is how you receive energy. It's not about the energy existing out there. It's the choice you make when it arrives at your door, and how do you want to process that in order then to be able to give the energy that you want to give. And how many times, Garrett, do people enter conversations with an energy that leads to a complain fest, that leads to a unproductive kind of just word salad that just doesn't really do anything to move anybody forward, and everybody leaves gosh, I'm a little depressed after that.
So you're picking on, let's go back to gratitudes for a second, because I have a thing that I have watched people do with gratitudes for years that I'm like, okay, we can't do that anymore. We need to eliminate that how we're handling gratitude. So if you've ever been with a group, and the group starts off with, okay, we're all going to do gratitudes. Let's start our day out this way. It's a very common thing. We do it in our meetings. I'm sounding a little I'm kind of goofing around with it, but it is a great way to start a meeting.
It is.
But I have had it happen before when you go, okay, let's start with gratitudes. And someone says, I am grateful for my health today. And you go, that's a wonderful gratitude. Way to go with starting this off. Because, and this is all of a sudden where they go, I am grateful for my health. And then before anybody else can say anything, because I've been so sick for the last couple of days, I had this and that, and I had a fever, and I've never felt worse, and I was throwing up, and it's just they go through this whole thing of You kind of took all the great energy, especially for the group here, that now have gone on this miserable journey of you being sick, where we could have just left it as, I'm grateful for my health and how wonderful I feel today. Excellent. Let's move on to the next one. And it's one of those things that I'm going to encourage all of you, if you're involved in any groups like that, if you are doing your gratitudes, make sure you're sticking to what you're really grateful for and not the things that you are maybe like happy that you're not dealing with anymore. Because there's a lot of negative energy that comes with that stuff too. I could share so many examples of watching people do this that it's just like, oh my gosh, just stop right there. You stopped right up front. It was perfect. But you had to keep going.
And I think that goes to what is the energy that you're looking to deploy, because there's nothing wrong with being grateful for your health today because of what happened yesterday. There's also another level of being grateful that you came through that illness to where you are today and the things that you've learned from it, and use it as a positive energy. And I think what you're describing is a lot of people will say, I'm grateful, and then they'll just deflate their energy by going back to that place instead of staying in this spot. Because even if you just reverse the conversation and be like, you know what, it's been a trying week because of some illness, and I'm so grateful that I was able to come through that, and I'm healthy now, and we are going to go have an amazing day. Just by reordering it and putting a different energy on it, all of a sudden it's different. But you're right, so many people take it as this opportunity to just pile that negative energy. And I will say, like, as human beings, we have this weird default to the negative, to the bad, right? And part of it could just be, and people will go back and tie it to all these different things. I don't really care what it's tied to. I just care that it exists. Because if we know that it exists, then we have the opportunity to change how that energy is with inside of us and how we want to project it out, because what we project out comes back. In that group example, you start with a gratitude and then you give this negative connotation to it. The next person's going to be like, yeah, well, I mean, geez, I don't know, man. I guess I'm grateful for my health too, because I don't have that, right? All of a sudden you're like, oh, we're not really having a good conversation about gratitude. We're just kind of all sulking in this conversation about illness.
Well, a real example that I'll use right now is that, when you talk about gratitude, I can basically be like, I'm grateful for my health today. I'm grateful for my friends and people around me. And I acknowledge all these great people around me because, my dad passed away here a little while back. I'm just looking at the dates. Almost been a month, Matt.
That's wild.
But I was looking at the dates and it was like, well, thinking about this as you're talking about and going like, I can very easily go, I'm grateful right now for all this because of this, what I've gone through. And, it's been really hard and all that stuff to get through that. I could do that. The flip side of it is like, I can turn that into like, what that experience did is I've had the most amazing conversations with the most amazing people. I have seen a side of my mom that I haven't seen since I was a kid in high school, where she didn't have a care in the world. Like all of a sudden there's this, because she was taking care of my dad, so much in the end. Like I'm seeing all this energy rise up from all these incredible people around me, and it's been an amazing experience. You can take something like that, just as you were saying about this is what I learned through me being sick. Like I've learned that I'm not taking these certain vitamins and I could be sleeping better and I could be doing these things. Or like I went out and wore myself out, which is why I got sick. And I know the importance of sleep and I've learned some great stuff about that. You can pull these things around to it. But it's interesting is that, and that's why I brought it up, is that a lot of times people will say what they're grateful for, and then they go right into the trenches. And again, in groups, they'll bring the whole group with them by accident, and they don't even realize they did it. They thought they were sharing what their gratitude was, and they just actually brought the whole group into this slump. And it's like, oh, why? No.
This is what we want to be aware of, because what's really happening there is we're leaving the gratitude behind. Mm-hmm. And the reason why we've brought up gratitude in this episode as it relates to energy is because gratitude is one of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal in order to shift your energy into the direction where you want it to go, into a direction that actually allows you to receive more into your world. You look at any book on building an incredible business. You look at any book on, enhancing your spirituality, enhancing your religion, enhancing whatever it is. All of them have in there an element of gratitude and why it's important, right? Dr. Joe Dispenza says gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. If any of you have read the book, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, it has an entire chapter dedicated to gratitude, talking about its importance on being grateful for wherever you're at in order to attract more riches into your life. If you're spiritual, if you're a Christian, like, you know that gratitude is such a core part of that belief in God in order to be able to achieve the things that we want to do. And it's like, let's acknowledge that and use gratitude for the positive, right? Because it can, in any moment where you're feeling down from like, man, I just don't know how I can get through this sickness. And it's like, okay, let's take a moment, express gratitude for all the things around us, period, full stop, like what you were saying, Garrett, and use that to launch yourself forward instead of driving right back into that energy.
And if you do it right too, especially in a group setting where you're sharing your gratitudes, one of your thoughts you should be thinking about is I'm going to share something that I am grateful for. And if I do this right, I'm going to raise the level of the entire group. Like, the whole thing is like, it's going to build off of each other. So like, I'm going to raise the energy up of the group. All of a sudden, Matt's going to raise the energy of the group. This person's going to raise the energy of the group. And that is the goal of the group. And if you have any group settings like this, it's good to set the stage of, we're going to do gratitudes. But this is the purpose of the gratitudes. They are to focus on what we're grateful for, and it's to raise the energy of the group and keep them in that space. It'll tremendously help the power of the meeting, the power of the group, the energy that comes out of it, because it is contagious. Gratitude is contagious, and it's awesome when you watch it. You get a great group together. It's powerful.
It's so powerful. I mean, the gift that you can give. And we do this. So I do this winning the morning session in a real estate Discord that was started by actually agents long ago. And we always started by sharing gratitude. And I think we're actually going to bring those recordings of that into the starter membership inside Life at 10 So watch out for that. If we haven't already done it, if you want more information, you can reach out to me or just go to lifeat10tenths.com, see what we have to offer there. But we always start with gratitude, and it's always so powerful. I was talking to Luca Alberetti about this, and he's like, man, that session, like, it just changes my entire thing. And there was one of the first sessions we did over 2 years ago with that. He was having a tough morning. And I was like, Luca, what are you grateful for? You got to share something you're grateful for. And he just sat there, looked out his window, and he says, you know what, Matt, I'm grateful for this tree. Right. And he just started to talk about this tree, and it transformed his entire energy for the day. And if you were listening to him talking about it, because for me, I'm like, man, like, this is awesome. People are like, grateful for a tree. What are you talking about? But when you hear the energy that's coming from him and what built from that, and he uses it as a story now, it's so cool to see how just that moment of gratitude was able to transform that energy, but then also what it was able to do for the people who are watching gratitude in action. And that is the incredible power. So not only is gratitude an opportunity for you to change your energy, but you can gift people the experience, even if you just watch other people's gratitude, which is why sometimes it's great to just be in a group that's sharing gratitude and just sit and watch, because you'll receive gratitude just by being there, watching other people dish it out. It's a really cool, powerful thing, Garrett.
So along these lines, so my son has gone through a lot, and some people who know I've shared this with, but he has dealt with a lot of anxiety and stuff in his world, and been challenging for him to get out and go move around this world also a little bit. And he's been adventuring out a little farther and a little farther and a little farther. And we have massive waterfall around the Reading area. We've been having it for the last couple of weeks. We have flooding. The river is at the highest level we've seen in a long time. The lake is basically full. But it was interesting. I was talking with Sarah about it, and she said, most amazing moment today. She goes, Otto and I drove up to, my son's name's Otto. Otto and I drove up to the dam, and she said he actually wanted to get out of the car and go walk across the dam, which is massive. Massive, huge accomplishment in our world. And she said he stood there and watched the water and the roar of the water, and she said she could watch him literally in a state of gratitude, literally in a state of just absorbing this amazing space that he's in and the amazingness of what all this is and the sounds. And she's like, I was so like worried for a little bit, like this was going to be overwhelming. And she goes, and then I got to watch him and just absorb all of this stuff. the coolest part was like, that was him having a moment of in pure gratitude of his environment, taking things in, and a lot of stuff that we would walk past and just kind of go like, wow, it's really cool. That spilled over onto my wife, who then we're sitting at dinner and she's telling me this, and I'm like reliving it, not even there, but sharing in this great, incredible moment. And like, this is the power of being in these states of gratitude, is you get to share, you get to build. It raised Otto's energy up, it raised Sarah's energy up, it raised my energy up. I've been thinking about it for the past couple of days. This is the great opportunities that we have when we can get ourselves into these states and we can give it to other people also. Which in turn, what we want to talk about, Matt, is that one thing to put ourselves into these states, but also we're watching a lot of people right now. I'm coaching a lot of people right now that are choosing, different types of energy that they can be bringing into their world. This is our part 2 that we were like, we're going to tie these things together. And what type of information are we bringing in? What are we surrounding ourselves around? What types of people are we surrounding ourselves? What kinds of books are we reading? What news outlets are we paying attention to? Like, we can get bombarded in this world so fast, Matt, if we're not careful. In both ways, we can bombard ourselves with as much positive stuff. If you ever want to go look for it, you can go find that. And you can also go find the scariest of the scary out there if you want to go find it. And I think it's an important thing of, what are you going out every day and looking for?
Yeah, it really is, because if you start with this cloak of gratitude, you can deflect a lot of this negative things, but also if you allow those things to come in, it can start to tear away at that cloak, because you'll express less gratitude and all these things. I mean, even just looking at the headlines and the news and the media that we consume, because for a lot of people it's hard to ignore.
Yep.
And it's filled with fear and this person's wrong and this person's wrong. And if we choose to accept that into our world, whether or not you watch it, I don't even yes, you can make a choice of whether you want to just have it physically present in your world, but it's also the choice of, what do you want to receive out of that? How do you want to look at that? Do you want to take that in and make it be a part of your being, regardless of whether you agree with the point of view or not? Do you want to take in that energy? Is that going to be productive for you? And if you ask yourself that question, I think most people will stop and say, you know what, I don't really like that energy in my world. It doesn't make me feel right. But what we see is a lot of people will then go and turn to social media, Garrett, and they'll share this stuff and they'll start taking this energy in and then putting it right back out. And I question, I'm like, well, what are we really accomplishing? Right. And I'm not saying not being an advocate, not being a champion of your points of view and stuff like that. You should do that for sure. Absolutely. You should stand up for everything that you believe in and more. How you do it and the energy that you bring into yourself while you're doing it, that's the thing that we want to question. Because if you go into it with a grateful heart and a grateful mind, you're going to experience probably a lot of positivity in that. You're going to find the people who agree with you and amplify positive energy together. If you go into it with an ungrateful heart, an ungrateful mind, you'll probably find a lot of the people who don't like it, the people who are abrasive, and you're going to be battling these people constantly because we don't have this. We're looking for the bad energy, essentially.
Well, there's the great old study of the two guitars. And if you take two guitars and you put them in a room and you pluck one string on one side and that same string on the guitar on the other side, they're perfectly in tune with each other, will start to vibrate at the same frequency. We naturally do this. And I think it's a great place. If you put yourself into a state of gratitude, like a real state of gratitude, what you will find is you will go into the world and you will start putting out that type of energy, which you're putting that type of energy, you will get that type of energy back. I think it's an important thing to ask yourself of what am I tuned to right now? Where's my energy at? Am I entering this world ready to fight? Am I entering this world mad? Am I entering this world, in fear? And it's very easy to say, okay, if I'm bringing that type of energy, just like bringing gratitude, if I'm bringing a state of gratitude also, all this stuff is resonating out there, and it's going to attract in the books, the media, the people around you that resonate with whatever energy you're putting out. And you start getting, like, I've used my mom as an example on a past podcast, because my mom was, she was dead set that the entire teenage population was out to get old people. She's going to listen to this and be like, oh, great, he's going back here again. But she was focused on it. And I've gone out with her and I've watched her focus on this so much that the younger generation doesn't even care about old people, and they'll push them out of the way, and they're out to get them. And I'm like, I don't know how you find them, Mom, but yes, you find the craziest situations where she can go, see? And I'm like, how did you find that? Like, did you go looking for it? Did you like go on a hunt? And these are these things that I think we need to just understand. Like, whatever we're looking for, we will go find. Whatever energy we're resonating, we're putting out, we're going to bring that same energy back in. And it doesn't take very much to get control of it. And I think that's why Matt and I wanted to share this today, is like, we can easily get into this world's happening to me. I'm being bombarded by this. I keep getting more of it. And it's a really important question to ask yourself is, what am I asking for? What am I looking for? And do I want to see something different? Because if you want to see something different, let's define that and let's go find it, because it's out there. It's all around you. And I know this just in, like, I've got books on my bookshelf right behind me, and I've got different ones that I can pick if I want to change what I want to be looking for and what I want to be seeing. There's different radio stations I can listen to that'll bring different energy out of me. And there's different news outlets I can go look at that will bring. There's different people I can go check out on social media right now that will give me different energy in my world. And I can actually think of names of which ones I can go to get different things. Very positive, or ones that if I want to go down the rabbit hole of maybe some negativity, I know where to go look. Yeah. I also know where to stay away from if I don't want to go there. So we have a lot more control than we think, Matt. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I want somebody to get out of this episode is that we have so much control over energy, and take the reins.
We do. And so I think I'll add in this one extra element that we can touch on as we pull this together, which is then the energy that enters your world just because, let's say a client, because I could see this follow up from this, like, okay, I can choose all that, but what about this client that enters my world, or this person who comes in that I can't just go and mute them or turn them off, and they're coming in with this energy. What do I do with that, Garrett? This client comes to me with this energy, and like, yes, I could change my energy and attract different people, but this person is there in front of me right now. And this is where we also have a choice of what do we want to do with that energy that has now come into us. And it can get complicated when these scenarios happen.
Well, okay, so let's go. I was trying to think of, like, who's a master at this? Like an absolute master of handling energy that's coming into their world. We work with a lot of real estate agents. We work with a lot of mortgage brokers. So you have something that comes into your world, and now we have time that we're going to work with them to change this energy. Like, we might fix it the first time we talk to them. It might take a couple times of going, oh my gosh, I have to meet with the Benellis again. Oh, okay, prepare myself, do all the things I can, all the good self-talk. The real masters of handling people and changing their energy, servers at restaurants. A good server is never at the mercy of the table. Ever, ever, ever. They have a very short window that they're going to take that person that's come to their space, whatever energy they might have, the crappiest of crappy day that they may be experiencing, but now they're sitting at their table and they have this moment to sit there and say, I have this chance to change this energy, to bring all the great energy that I have into this moment, see if I can make this an amazing experience. And you all know, I know there's servers that you're thinking about right now going like, oh, I know exactly who Garrett's talking about. I know exactly what restaurant, why we go pick that server over and over again. And it's not just you. That's not just the relationship that they have with you. Because if you go talk to other people and they're like, oh, have you had Seth? Seth is the server. Oh, that's the guy you want to have at your table. That's the guy you want to have taking care of you. Because Seth brings the most, I'm really talking about a real person right now. Seth brings the most incredible energy when I get the chance to be around him. He never brings me down. He never brings his baggage into my world. And we can go in there and be off, and all of a sudden everything is better sitting at his table. Servers are masters of this, and they have very limited time. They get different people of all walks of life every single day, and they have the ability of turning that if they want to. And so I think they're a great example of how much control you have. Yeah. Like, you never know. You never know, but don't be at the mercy of everybody else.
And the beauty of that is sometimes you'll change the energy of the people in front of you, and sometimes you won't. You get to choose how you want to walk away with that, right? Because let's say, for example, Seth, he probably serves people who don't ever change their energy. And maybe they'll walk away saying, I don't like Seth, right? But Seth will probably walk away saying, cool, I'm me. And if that's the energy that they want to take, great. I'm not going to receive it. I'm not going to allow them the opportunity to put that on me. I'm just going to say, not coming at me.
Probably has the energy of, I'm grateful that they've moved along.
And that is where, to bring this all together, the gratitude comes in, is you can use gratitude as the tool to help protect yourself from that energy when it's right in front of you. You can say, cool, yep, that client was really tough. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to maybe learn something. I'm also grateful for the opportunity that I now have. I can go work with other people. Yep. Or I'm grateful that, like, maybe I can still help this person solve this problem that they're facing. And that's a really cool thing that I got to get stronger at my skill set because of this. So
I before we move off this, Matt, I will say I have played a game for years, and I've shared this with you in the past, but I've played a game ever since I was a kid, which is when I'm around somebody, can I get them to smile? Like, it's my thing. And very, very, very rarely am I like, damn it, like I couldn't get them, I couldn't break them. But more often than not, you can do this, but you need to go into it on purpose. You need to look at the relationships and the people that come around you with a purpose in mind, not just like, oh, we're just going to have great energy, or I'm going to bring great energy to the people around me. Like, make it a game, make it something that stands for who you are, that when I leave people, they're in a better energy state than when I found them. You can do this. I've done it for years. It is one of my most favorite things to do. And I did fail at it last night. There was a lady that I was ordering a beer, and she was sitting next to me, and she says, can I borrow that menu when you're done with it? And I said, yeah. I said, you're more than welcome to. I said, but if you use my menu, I said, you have to buy our drinks. And she looked at me and she went, I'm sorry. And I was like, all right, never mind. I said, you go right ahead. You have a great evening. And I moved my way. I failed on that one last night.
I forgive you.
I was like, don't worry, you're great.
I'm sorry, I forgive you. It's okay. It's okay. Oh man. Well, at some point you also don't want to get punched in the face. So
I was being nice. I was having fun. All right. So again, Matt, I love that we got a chance to go down this journey, and I think that for anybody who's listening, just know you've got a lot of power at your fingertips. And be careful what you take in. Be careful what you share. Be careful how you take care of yourself every single morning when you start this day. You have more control than you possibly imagine. Do not be at the mercy of everybody else. With that being said, Matt, thank you so much. For all of you that are listening to this and you like what you're hearing, we have the 11 Circle, where we do live coaching every week with a great group of people. We'd love to have you come and join us. There's a 7-day free trial. You can come and check it all out and be a part of it. And if you like this episode and you like what we got going on here, share this with your friends, share it with your people in your office. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like. Again, as Matt was saying, it helps us out tremendously. And with that being said, appreciate all of you. Let's go have some fun.
Have a great day, everybody. Appreciate you being a part of this.